This is Cats versus Cards. Everybody tap in. We don't have the music today, but you already know what time it is. One day after Christmas. We couldn't do it on Christmas, so we're doing it on Tuesday. Everybody come on in. Like and share this broadcast. Like and share the broadcast. We're about 30 seconds in. Like and share the broadcast. Like I said earlier today, guys, we don't have the music today, but like and share the broadcast. All right. Go ahead and tap in. Get in part of this discussion. I guess that's Dietrich. About a minute in. About a minute, 18 seconds in. My bad. Like and share the broadcast. We at here. We got to do some bowl previews for both teams. We got to talk about this basketball rivalry. Everybody, come on. We're about a minute, 40 seconds in. I'm going to give y'all about another minute. Then we got to start. Hold on, guys. I'm having technical issues over here. Let me see. I'm having technical issues over here. Got to check and see if YouTube's having the same issues now. All right. Must be a Facebook issue. All right. Like and share. All right. 30 seconds. Give you 30 seconds. 30 seconds so we can go ahead and get started. 30 seconds. Guys, go ahead and tap in. Tap in, like, and share this broadcast. I'm sharing it out right now. Like and share this broadcast. I'm going to give y'all like 10 more seconds. Whoever we got, that's who we got. Let's go. Let's get it. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Cats versus Cards. This right here is episode 16. We got some things to talk about. We got bowl preview for both Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville's getting ready to play USC tomorrow at 8 o'clock. The Holiday Bowl. We got to talk about it. Louisville's a 7.5 point favorite. Got to see if that's too high or not too high. Kentucky plays Clemson on the 29th in the Gator Bowl. We got to talk about it. We also had a rivalry game that had happened this past week. We've been off the air. We got to talk about that as well. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. I hope everybody is having a great new holiday altogether. New Year's is coming up. So let's get into it. Without further ado, we're going to introduce our cast that we have. As always, at the top right, there we have Richard. Richard, what's going on, man?
Hey, L1C4. This is the disgruntled Cardinal fan here.
L1C4, the disgruntled Cardinal fan. Go ahead, bro.
Hey, we just hanging on. You know what they say? It's always darkest before the dawn, but we are here.
All right, Kanye West. All right. The next one, what's going on, Perry? And he's traveled from Phoenix all the way to Kentucky. What's going on, man?
Cards, man. Cards.
Cards.
Cards all day.
He's so much
No matter
cards.
how hard it is, cards all day.
He's so much cards. You see that blue that's kind of behind him right there. Yeah, he's in the Kentucky.
It's your paint, Lathan. It's gray. Let's quit fronting. It's gray.
All right, last but not least, Dietrich. What's going on, D?
Go Big Blue. Go Big Blue. Go Big Blue. You watching ACC Network in the background, y'all.
No, I'm watching ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN going on in the background. All right, so let's get into it. We got a bowl game that's getting ready happening tomorrow night. Louisville is a 7.5-point favorite in the game. First question that I have for you guys, I'm gonna start with you, Richard. Do you think that is too high?
Yes, I believe it should be around 3 points. I mean, ESPN matchup predictor, however accurate that is, still has USC as a 53.3% chance of winning the game. So 7 points. I mean, both of these are potent offenses. Jeff Brom does have a potent offense, and I don't think there's not been a team that we haven't been able to move the ball on. Even with the Florida State game, we still had yardage. USC doesn't have any defense, so it's going to be
great point.
How bad is their defense compared to how potent is our offense? But right now, being the fact that we're playing out there in California on their home turf is pretty much going to be a home game for them. That might be a factor. So I'm thinking 7.5. It might be a little too high.
7.5 might be too high. Perry, what is your take on that?
So it feels like this is one of those games where you see a lot of talent on display. An underperforming team like USC, we'll see where Louisville. It's a measuring stick game for us in a way, because you're looking at an overwhelming advantage of talent for USC, even though a lot of their star players have opted out. We were listening, Lathan. I was listening to that broadcast that you were listening to, that podcast where they were talking about, rating the odds and what to gamble against, and we saw what they were talking about. They were basically explaining how, yes, USC lost a lot, but some of the guys they had filling in for the guys that opted out are pretty decent, whereas Thrash is such a very important part of our offense, as well as Jawar Jordan. Yeah. Even though Guerrero came on strong at the end, Thrash is such a very important part of our offense, to the tone of him, Jawar Jordan, and Plummer nobody else having more than 10 touches across the season, whereas those guys have had the majority of the offensive touches, the offensive plays, all of that. And so it's one of those things where
I'm caught in a lot of other stuff. I'm sorry. Yep, you're right.
Yeah. So to make the long story short,
yeah.
Make the long story short, it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting game. It will be closer than we think. I'm hoping we have the same results. I hope we catch USC sleeping like Tulane caught them sleeping last year, but I don't think it's going to happen. So,
I mean, I think the reason why you guys are 7.5 favorites is just like the other broadcast said, is because Caleb Williams isn't playing in this game, so they have the backups in there. I'm not for sure that 7.5 is too big, just because Louisville's got a pretty good defense. I mean, I don't know what you guys' opt-outs are, but you guys got a pretty good defense. Caleb Williams, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. He makes that offense go. And not only he's out, the starting running back is out as well, and one of the top receivers is also out. So that's going to be a big part of the skill set for that offense that's going to be out of there, against that good defense that you guys have. And then with USC, they can't stop anybody anywhere. So, what do you say? I've made a lot of good points right there, but I'm giving myself one.
Yeah. Give yourself 3 points.
No, wait a minute. Ho.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry.
See, now we know this game is being thrown in favor of UK. You don't give you're supposed to be the ref in the middle. You don't give points to somebody else just because you talking. You don't give
never 100% in the middle.
Okay.
100%.
So I'll
take it off.
I'll take my points out. I'll take my
take
points
it off.
Out. I'll take my points out.
Some points.
We scratched it out.
One of the best quarterbacks in the nation is not in the game, and the starting running back is not in the game. I don't think it's. I'm just going to try and repeat everything he said so I can score points. No, I think it's probably about right. It may even be a little bit too low because USC, even when they were full strength, got dominated by Notre Dame. They got dominated by Notre Dame. So in a team where Louisville, I ain't gonna say dominated, but y'all beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame dominated USC. They also lost to Washington. They also lost to Oregon. So it's going to be unique to have two teams that played against two top 5 teams, top 6 teams here at the end of the season, and then see how those teams fared. Now, I think Louisville played USC closer because of not USC, Florida State closer than, say, USC played against Washington or Oregon. But I still think Louisville's going to take this game. Plummer's going to be there, I think. I think Plummer's playing. So you got your starting quarterback in. They don't.
Somebody's at the door.
It's kind of end of the story.
No.
It's kind of end of the story.
Okay, Dietrich, you go ahead and take over. You go ahead and take over, D. You got it.
Don't give me
run to prison.
Hey, don't give me the reins. Don't give me the reins.
Arkham Asylum. Here we go.
Don't give me the reins. Hey, I think USC is going to lose. I think it's probably going to be more than 7 points. I think it's probably 10 to 13 points. Where
I don't know, man. I just don't see it, but we'll I don't know, man.
You all have some good points about the fact that nobody's showing up for USC. They've been totally
I hear
but the word that I'm going to hear a lot, like I heard during the Florida game, disinterested. The difference is, though, Florida played everybody. But this USC game, if we start whooping up on them, that's why all the commentators are going to say they're disinterested because they didn't feel like this was a worthwhile game to them and all their starters. That's why it's imperative that Louisville win this game. Now, 7.5 points, I'm thinking the spread is a little bit big because, like I said, me personally, USC is accustomed to playing teams with potent offenses. Everybody in the Pac-10, Pac-12, whoever, had a potent offense. We're talking teams. Every one of them teams was putting up 28 points. So they're used to playing
downfield threat offenses.
Yes, they're used to playing it. So they're going to be, doesn't matter who they plug in. It's still Lincoln Riley plugging it in, those players off the bench and telling them this is what you run. This is how you defend against that. So 7.5, if anything, if it's probably right on. Vegas doesn't usually get these things wrong when it comes to point spreads. So we're going to stick with that number, but I'm thinking it might be a little high, but Louisville should win this game.
They should, and they should because they don't have the players to overpower Louisville the way Florida State did or the way Kentucky did. So there's no overpowering, there's no push that they can't handle. So with those all things being equal, now you're just saying who can make a play and get a first down.
Wait a minute.
And that's going to be
one team overpowered Louisville. Only one team overpowered us. That was Florida State. Kentucky didn't overpower us. Watch your mouth, man. Watch your mouth.
Hey, man, we're talking about the bowl game. So
all right.
Because I don't think USC can overpower Louisville, I think all things are kind of equal there. Then you just kind of go with who's got a team that can get a first down. And Plummer's pretty good at converting first downs. They're really good at not getting into third down situations, and they're really good at converting third downs. So, Brom doesn't play behind the sticks. Most of the games that I've watched, he's not playing behind the sticks. They're playing ahead of things. So I think
what do you mean by playing behind the sticks?
Playing behind the sticks. Playing behind the sticks means you get to 3rd and 8. You get to 3rd and 7 a lot.
When you make a statement like that, who is good at playing behind the sticks? Nobody is really good at playing behind the sticks.
No, I said they're good at not playing that. I said they're not. Okay. They're good at not getting themselves behind the sticks, playing behind the sticks.
Somebody, maybe Perry, you can look this up. What is Louisville's third down conversion rate? And then I wish there was a stat that actually told you what their rate. When it's third down, what are they usually in? Are they 3rd and short a lot, 3rd and mid, or 3rd and long a lot? I can say that I have confidence that Louisville will make 3rd and longs a lot better than
Absolutely.
most of the teams that we played on our schedule. However, once again,
I got about 5 points while Latham was gone. Honestly, you should just put
and
5.
I made about 3 while he was gone. But we got an empty chair. We got nobody at the rim.
I got about 5 points.
Nobody at the wheel, so stuff was just off the track.
But not just third down conversions, fourth down conversions.
I don't even know where we're at. I'm gonna just give you a couple points, District. You did good. You did great.
Thank you very much.
You didn't know. You don't know how he did.
I have no clue at all.
He will review the film later.
Yes,
he was doing daddy damage control.
Hey.
I mean, just imagine if we was
and you know what?
And you know what? Came out of the cockpit and said, "You know what? I need to go back here and work on this engine while we still 60,000 feet up in the air. Y'all keep on going, keep on enjoying your movie."
But hold on. Yeah, but here's the worst part: him and Perry are in the same house. Perry could have jumped off and took care of it.
Yeah, he could. That's what I was about to say. I said, Perry, you black your camera out and run and answer the door and tell him who's at the door while you still running the show. So,
instead, Perry goes, "Hey, there's somebody at the door." Like, yeah, I know.
yeah, go get it, man. Go get it. Be a wingman, cuz. Go get it.
Hey, man, I would have made the situation worse. Since kids don't like me, like.
Hey, before we go to another subject, look what I got for Christmas.
Warming up to me.
This is my Christmas present this year. Look at that.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Somebody got that at the trash for you,
but
man?
I know.
But look at the setup. Look at the setup, though. Hold up. We got to put District on a big screen. Look at the setup. He got the Kentucky Cup. He got the Kentucky
De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox jersey. And then he's also playing Kentucky versus Louisville in the background. Like, come on, man. And y'all losing in it.
Also,
how many points is that worth? That's like 5 points.
That's 10 points right there.
Well, you give me 50.
This might be the first one that we win.
This is what I'm saying. Why this is real.
In Lexington City.
Hey, get big. Get me big, Lathan. Lathan, get me big.
I got you.
Look at that score. Look at that score, guys.
31-20.
But see, here's the thing. You didn't give Perry any points for his backgrounds in all of the other previous shows. You didn't give me any points for when I was showing the U of L games. We didn't get
I'm just in my bed. I'm just in my bedroom. I'm just in my bedroom because the kids are downstairs.
It's time to go to bed. When his wife come in there, he got to take all that stuff down.
Hey, the only thing different that's not normally here is I hung up my De'Aaron Fox jersey. That's it.
I love it. But yeah,
go Big Blue.
Let's go. Going back to the USC versus Louisville game. You guys, the matchup predictor for ESPN has USC winning about 53.3%. But 53.3% chance of winning, I should say. I just don't see that covering. Just like I said before, USC's got too many opt-outs. They can't stop anybody.
They have USC at 53%.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I thought that was margin.
No.
Yeah, Louisville's got a 46.7% chance of winning. So
is that what Vegas has?
That's what ESPN matchup predictor has.
Their matchup predictor using their FPI system.
Vegas, they're saying that Louisville is a 7.5 favorite. So yeah. And actually
they're probably looking at the talent up and down the sidelines for USC and saying, you know what, despite that all these players are out, Lincoln Riley can just plug in another another 4-star to replace the 5-star that's not playing, or plug in a 3-star to replace the 4-star that's not playing. And that's probably why they still show that. And like I said, that's why I'm thinking the margin of victory is may not be that wide, but Louisville should pull out the victory nevertheless, because we got more experience out there on the field playing, which should hopefully wash out the talent on USC side.
Coach just texted me, said, "Hey, what time is the podcast?"
Yeah, people wouldn't say that if there was consistency.
Hey,
I'm talking about. I've been preaching that.
8 o'clock.
They know automatically. They automatically know what day and time. If there was consistency.
You're right. So, guys, catch that game 8 o'clock tomorrow on Fox. Louisville versus USC. That's going to be a good one, I think. It's going to be a good one. Let's move it on. Moving on.
All
right. So
let me segue. Let me help you segue.
okay, go ahead.
So
Help me segue.
somebody mentioned that USC got beat to death by Notre Dame.
Yes.
And Louisville beat Notre Dame.
Okay.
All right. But Notre Dame.
That was me. That's one of the points I should have got.
Notre Dame beat Clemson to death. And so who's Clemson's next opponent?
Clemson's next opponent is Kentucky.
So you trying to use the rules of the
transitive property right there.
Transitive property rules.
Okay.
Which we can all know does not work.
So
doesn't work.
So what are we saying? So Notre Dame, they beat Clemson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if Kentucky,
no. Clemson beat Notre Dame.
Got you. Clemson beat Notre Dame.
Crashed Notre Dame.
Notre Dame blew out USC.
Yes.
Well, I don't understand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Property, though. I'm
like 48 to 20. 48 to 20.
I'm just making a connection.
So, okay. So, no, that's a good connection right there, because basically what that says on the 29th when Kentucky faces Clemson in this Gator Bowl, what that says, if you want to use that transitive property, is if Kentucky actually wins that game, then you can make an argument that Kentucky was actually better than all these teams then.
Sounds like to me. Yeah.
No, that sounded too retarded.
It sounded too retarded. I'm just saying.
It does not work always.
I'm just saying. But if we want to use that transitive property, that's what that says, right? Nobody wants to say anything.
No, because
that's what it says.
Like, what's going on?
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand the connection. See,
now. Well, USC did beat they did beat Clemson the week after Louisville, so there could have been, big game hangover.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
Well, I think right here in this game, I'll say this much. I think right here in this game,
2 weeks after,
is you got the Florida State game, which there's been words saying that they opted out. I think that's just a rumor. I don't think that actually.
That's a rumor. That's not real.
But
that's more
in that game, they have too many opt-outs anyway for Florida State to be through Florida State that we would have seen during the season to say, hey, they really belong in that top 4 or not. So you don't really have them. You have Louisville next. You have Louisville in this other game that we're talking about, the Holiday Bowl that's being played tomorrow. Their performance can help the ACC's image out. But I think the one that I would really point to, throwing out all the transitive property stuff, one that I would really point to, not the one, is this game, Clemson versus.
I knew it was coming.
Kentucky.
I knew he.
And I'm not saying that. And I think Clemson is in a different category from the other ACC teams because of the way that their team is built. And they have a lot more potential there because of the way the team is built. It's just fulfilling that potential. But at the same time, you say that, and if they don't fulfill that at any point during the season, even though they have opt-outs as well, let's make that clear. Mm-hmm. So it gives Kentucky a better chance.
Their best defensive back, I think one of their better defensive linemen opted out.
Yeah.
And I think Phil Moffitt, the running back, their best running back, or their most physical running back, opted out. So
but this is one game that's like ACC's got to show, like, hey, even though with these opt-outs, we still better than the 8th best SEC team. Like, we still a power.
Are y'all the 8th best?
We should be somewhere
around
there. I
thought y'all were 9th or 10th.
No,
is it 8th? No, I'm really not joking.
No, I think
look it up. And y'all were 3 and 5 in the SEC, and so there's like 9 SEC. I don't know. My bad, dude.
I think we're 8th best. Let's see.
I mean, I'm trying to help y'all out.
Alabama's number 1. Let's talk about it. Alabama's number 1. Georgia's number 2, right? Then you got Missouri and Ole Miss 3 and 4.
No. Yeah. Missouri and Ole Miss,
Ole Miss 3
and then LSU.
Then LSU's number 5. Then you have Tennessee. And Texas A&M.
Texas A&M
7.
That's 7.
Yeah, you got Kentucky at least tied for 8.
Yeah, but when you look at who they beat and who they lost to, I think because it's 3 and 5.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 3 and 5, but you've got
if
4,
USC
3 and 5.
Because you got to put them. You have to put them down below South Carolina because they lost to
South Carolina lost to Florida. Kentucky.
But how many? But what's South Carolina's record?
That just means Florida is above Kentucky.
3 and 5.
But USC is above. I mean, Florida's below Kentucky, and USC is above Kentucky. That's all that means. So in the grand
Those
scheme of
three are
things,
tied.
what's keeping
Those
y'all at
three are
number
tied.
8 is that you guys have a winning record and the other two have a losing record.
In
That's
the
how
grand
it's
scheme of things, we just number 8.
No, but we was talking
Okay,
about in
I
the
mean,
SEC. We
trying to
wasn't
make y'all
talking
look
about.
good. That's
you
We
my
have
was
bad.
talking about. We
If
was
the
talking
number
about
9
in
team
the
beats
SEC.
the number 16 team, y'all look even better. I'm just trying to,
Their out
trying to
of
help you out.
conference record had nothing to do with what we were talking about. Who was the best? What their ranking was in the SEC? Because if South Carolina, Kentucky, and who was the other bottom feeder? Auburn all had 3 and 5 records. You can't. You would say you would tie with Auburn, but SEC stands above you in the SEC because USC. Excuse me. USC stands above you. So if you're 8th, you're really more like tied with 9th with Auburn.
Then what's Florida?
Florida's 3 and 5. Are they 3 and 5 also?
They're 3 and 5
They
also.
would fall-
They beat USC and they lost to Kentucky.
Okay, so then them two would be tied above y'all because y'all lost. I mean, it'd be 3-way ties. Some players lost, and y'all
Exactly, it's a 3-way tie. Nobody's above
3-way
anybody.
tie, but you can't say you're 8th. It's a 3-way
You're
tie.
tied for 8th. You're tied for 8th.
Three other teams.
It
With
would
3
go
other
down.
teams. So it's really
Yes, it would go down in the books. You tied for 8th. Damn.
Y'all you trying to make it look better than what it is, bruh.
That's what
But
it
y'all
is.
not. Yeah.
We are 8th because, like
We're
Perry,
8th.
we have a better overall record.
3 and 5.
Overall record.
I wish one day y'all would have a winning record.
See, that's what Louisville fans
That
do.
would be nice. That would be nice.
They'll say y'all 8th, but y'all not really 8th. Y'all won, but y'all didn't really win.
Yeah, man.
Y'all beat us by 14 points, but not really 14.
Hey,
Do
you remember when every time Kentucky won, Perry had an excuse on why we won?
Oh yeah, it was the refs. It was the refs.
It was some y'all cheated. I heard that.
Corrupt. It's corrupt.
But let's get back on track. But yeah, so that's my take on this is that Clemson has to show like, hey, we are at least better than the 8th best team. Florida, and I know we want to say in rivalries we got to throw everything out. So okay, let's give Louisville the benefit of doubt. It was a rivalry game. Different things happen. The abnormal happens. All right. So we'll say that we'll give Louisville that right there. But Clemson, they have to step up and show that yeah, hey, this is the ACC. We're not that bad. Am I off on that, Dietrich? Go ahead.
All right. So Clemson is a different animal. Yes, they did not have a great year in the ACC, but they still won 8 games. And Clemson is not a rapid NIL team, transfer team. So they have more of an established team. So depth means something at Clemson that it doesn't mean at other teams.
Yeah.
Right? Depth means something at Clemson.
Yeah.
So your second string guy has been there maybe 2 years, taking reps, learning, and developing. Mm-hmm. Whereas in some other teams, you may have a transfer guy. That first or second guy may have only been there that year. So Clemson has a little bit different, is a different animal, even though they didn't win the ACC or in the running to win the ACC like you expect them to just about every year. They're just in a down cycle, and I'm lucky we're playing them now versus a year or two ago, 2 years ago, or maybe even 2 years from now, because Dabo he's a good coach, and he has a good coaching staff. So this game is a winnable game for Kentucky, but it will be a tough game. This will not be a cakewalk at all.
I'll tell you.
So you still thinking that y'all?
Hold on. I'll tell you the one thing that I said that is that they had the most potential of any team in the ACC, and that was because of the depth that you was just talking about. And it looks like that towards the end of the season, they really awakened. I mean, that last loss was in October 28th against NC State. Other than that, they come through, like y'all said, they beat Notre Dame, they beat Georgia Tech, they beat UNC, they come in, they beat South Carolina and such. And Dabo said, hey, we just needed to get healthy, so maybe this is where Clemson still shows, hey, we're the top of this ACC. What do you think is gonna What do you think is going to happen there, Richard? Do you think it's just a fluke how they ended, or you think they're back on track?
Who did they lose to? All bowl teams. That's who they lost to, and 2 of them are ranked. 2 or 3 of them are ranked. So they played a tougher schedule.
Miami, NC State.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think all of them were ranked when they played Clemson. So at one point in time, so they're all bowl eligible bowl teams that they lost to, and they played those teams early in the season. Which a couple of those losses came when you're trying to gel, when you're trying to get your team. Most people start the season with cupcakes. There's some teams we're not going to go into again that started half their front end of the season with cupcakes. Clemson didn't do that. They went straight out.
There you go. Congratulations. Go ahead.
Straight out, went straight for the gut shots. And, obviously that hurt. But Nevertheless, what does the matchup predictor and the point spread say for that game?
The matchup predictor, it has Clemson with a 66.1% chance of winning this game. They're a 7-point favorite too.
So both of them are in their favor.
Yeah,
66% chance. That's saying something. And then who have y'all lost to the transfer portal? That's a starting player. That's starting for y'all. Have y'all lost any significant experience to the transfer portal for this game?
UK
transfer portal
doesn't lose any in the transfer portal, really.
Not significant players.
Nobody's declaring for the draft or anything like that.
Oh well, yeah, our running back, yeah, but
so is he playing? Well, he's still saying he's playing.
No, yeah,
they strong-armed him into playing. They said, "You play or you're not going to get your money. You got to pay."
He did opt out and then recanted. I think that's what happened.
Yeah. Ray Davis is back. The only starter that I know that's not going to play, it's probably going to be pretty big, is Trevin Wallace, middle linebacker. I think they said that he wasn't going to play.
Okay.
So that's going to be pretty big in the middle of our defense. That's the reason why we got the big transfer from Georgia to hurry up and fill that for next year.
Well, that's interesting how they have a lot of players, or a few key players from Clemson opting out, and they still got you guys at 60. Still got them at 66% and 7.5-point favorite. That's something to think about.
Hey, let me say this real quick. Let me butt in and say this real quick. I know that we're having a connection issue with Facebook and YouTube right now. I'm not exactly sure where that's coming from. While we're talking, I actually been trying to look into that, guys. I don't see any evidence of it on my network, so I'm not for sure if that's going to be external from where we're streaming from or not. But we will upload this. It will be uploaded on Facebook and YouTube, and that should be a better stream for you guys. So I'm sorry for that inconvenience. So we probably won't have many comments. The comments we have right now is connection issues. So I just wanted to point that out there. So more of you guys can, whatever you guys can catch, you can comment on, and we know the connection issues are there. All right.
And if I may add on to that,
and subscribe.
Although we are still having connection issues, all us hosts and participants are giving our full effort into this broadcast. We're not taking the day off. You know how some players have been accused of taking the half day or being disinterested or not putting their all into the game. We are here, giving it 100%, regardless of who's watching.
Yeah, we have no opt-outs. But yeah,
no opt-outs.
I think Trevin Wallace.
We had an injury reserve, but no opt-outs.
Yeah, but I think Trevin Wallace is going to be our only opt-out. Actually, I think him and then one of our cornerbacks is also going to be opting out, which it's kind of weird. Not only you stayed in college for 3 years and played before you go to the NFL, but you also produced at a high level before you went. And now it seems like college is kind of getting like college basketball. College football is kind of getting like college basketball in a little sense, where that you have what's his name, Drew Phillips. He wasn't even our best cornerback, and he wasn't the most productive, but his stock is the highest because of his athleticism, his speed, his potential. It's all there. It jumps off the board, but he didn't play that well for us, and so he's also opted out into the NFL draft. So I don't think he's playing either. But like I said, I don't think that hurts us that much because the other guy was the better quarterback for us. Number one, and number two, I think we have other people that can do what he did for us. So that's kind of a weird one. But those are going to be our two opt-outs. And yeah, even though we're playing Clemson, we're we're a 7-point underdog. Kentucky's they're going to have to play lights out. I mean, we got a quarterback back for this game, but we're going to play lights out. We're going to have to take it serious. And from all intents and purposes, I think the players are saying the same thing because this is going to still be big for the program.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I think it's going to be one of the bowl games that's not lopsided. I think it is going to be a close victory for whichever club wins. But Clemson is favored. I think they got a 63% chance of winning. What I'm looking at here, I don't know what server's doing that, but about a 60% chance of winning, and a lot of that's favored by 7. So it's going to be a tough game. It is a winnable game, but Clemson's a real football team. Make no mistake. They are not a thrown together team. They are not a flash in the pan. They are a real football team.
Perry, let me get your take on this. What do you think the meaning of this game is for both teams? It's kind of what I was kind of hinting at for Clemson in the beginning, that they have to show, hey, we are the ACC and we are a power conference. But what do you think is the meaning of this game for both teams?
Clemson needs this game to move into the postseason on a positive note, to continue building momentum. They're coming in with a lot of steam behind them. They've got a lot of momentum. When you see the opponents they beat these last 4 games, and it's like you could see them, like I think Dietrich mentioned it, progressing from a 28-7 opening game loss to Duke, which legitimized Duke for a little bit, all the way up to beating up Notre Dame, North Carolina, Miami, North Carolina State. They lost. I'm sorry. They lost to North Carolina State, but they took from after that North Carolina State.
They lost to Miami too.
And they lost to Miami too. But they won their next 4 games against bowl-bound teams, and they won them in a convincing fashion. They sort of, they really went into South Carolina. South Carolina desperately needed that win. They desperately needed a way to become bowl eligible. They had already had a desperate game against UK, I think the game before that. And so they came in and Clemson took care of business. Despite the fact that they lost last year to South Carolina, they took care of business. So I feel like, they need a game. But Kentucky also needs this game because, again, it gives them positive momentum going into the offseason. It continues the overall bowl streak that Kentucky's on now. They've won 8 straight bowls, and this will be the 9th straight bowl. It just gives them, something positive. Then you're also beating a national championship team.
We've gone to 8 straight. I ain't won no 8 straight bowls. I'm sorry, son. You hyping them up.
Take a point.
They didn't go to 8 straight bowls.
Y'all gotta understand. Y'all gotta understand. Y'all gotta understand. Perry is in a Kentucky Wildcat house right now.
Yeah, it's messing with my mind.
That spirit is getting in him.
It's getting in him. I mean, I'm really getting dizzy.
Yeah, that delusional. We'll speak any garbage into facts. It's getting into your brain, and so you need to pump your brakes there because there've been 8 straight nothing on any part of that fact is not true. There hadn't been 8 straight bowl appearances.
They lost last year.
There ain't been 8 straight victories, so I don't know where you got all.
No, they lost their bowl game last year. My bad.
I loved it while he was saying it.
We might have beat Louisville 8 games straight. We beat Louisville 8 games straight.
No, it ain't even been 8, so don't even get that. So yeah,
no, bro.
It must be the paint fumes, must be the Kool-Aid that you drank earlier,
man,
or something. He must have drugged your food or something.
It's being in Lexington, y'all. I was telling my brother-in-law earlier. I was like, this is the real Blue Devil country because it's full of Blue Devils. It's not the Duke kind. They're devils and they blue.
You put the wrong screen up there, like that. You put the wrong
right now in Lexington.
All right.
Yeah,
I need to add on something else that Perry, you might have forgotten. The fact that it's probably this game is not only more important to Clemson to come out on top. Well, here's the thing: Clemson needs this, like you said, to keep building momentum. But Clemson really needs to win this in order to add more credibility to the ACC. Right now, we are taking bolos and gut shots left and right with this whole mess with Florida State. What's going on with what happened with the CFP. So we need to come out of here this season with some positive victories. So every bowl game, every matchup that we play, we need to make a statement. Unfortunately, Syracuse stabbed us in the back with this garbage and how they lost to – who they lose to? South Florida. And the way they lost to South Florida, it just looked sad. But Every game after this has got to be a statement game. I don't care if it's evenly matched or what. We have to make a statement, and Clemson needs to continue that. For Kentucky's sake, you all need this victory because yet another mediocre year. Y'all paying your coach $9 million to come out here with 7-6 of seasons is just pathetic. I mean, Texas A&M just fired their coach for doing way better than what y'all do, what y'all are accepting at UK. So if y'all come out of here with another 7-6, that's just wow. I don't care if you beat Louisville every year. If you still come out here with 7-6, that ain't mean nothing. That don't do nothing for you. That ain't getting a return on your investment.
Listen, Texas A&M, they spend a lot in recruiting too that Kentucky's not doing. So they should expect a lot more. They're landing a ton of 5 stars.
Well, all that you all are putting into Stoops and the fact that he's the second longest tenured coach in the SEC. Well, the fact that the portal, all that recruiting mess, the portal is evening that out. So you all have opportunities to step up as well. But the fact that you all have the second longest coach in the SEC and you're paying him $9 million a year, it's 7-6. What you all have to get used to or what y'all are accepting. But you all need this victory too, because 8-5 is better than 7-6, but still you all need this just as much, if not more than Clemson, because at least Clemson knows they can come back next year and make adjustments and have an opportunity for another 10-win season. You all continue down this track. What hope do you all have now that the SEC is getting tougher?
So I think that there's a little bit of a slip. I'll give you a couple points on there, but I think that's a little bit of a slippery slope that's going on right here when you talk about all that, because yes, we got the second longest tenured coach in the SEC, but we're 7-5 this year. We're not going to stay 7-5, and we know that. We've been to 10 wins. We dipped down. We went back up. We going right back.
No.
We did. We went down. Then went right back up, and then now we're down again. And we will go back.
Out of all of his 11 years, he only had 2 10-win seasons, and that was the closest y'all got to any kind of success.
Well, you have to
has been less than that.
Well, you have to understand in the SEC, like I've been saying, in order to do this thing consistently, you have to have top 10, top 15 classes.
Missouri.
Don't get dragged down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, he did. We're not going down that rabbit hole because he keeps talking about a one-hit wonder. They did it and they left.
Missouri, not what hit wonder.
What was their record last year?
Oh, Missouri.
Let me ask Richard. What was their record last year? Look it up.
Hold on, let me pull it up.
Look up. What was their record?
Look it up.
What was their record the year before?
Look it up.
What was the record
the Vanilla Ice?
Because they had to fire the coach. Look it up.
They're the Vanilla Ice of the SEC.
What were they year before that? And what were they the year before that?
Let me get to the.
Missouri is the JJ Fad of SEC.
I'm making a point.
If they're the JJ Fad, then y'all the salt and pepper.
No, I'm making a point because you're saying this, and they've had.
We more like Mary J. We've been in there, okay?
Before they went back up. That's not consistency.
Okay, so 6-7 last year.
Yes.
6-7 last year.
Yes. You can do it on Wiki. You can do it on Wiki. Just hit the back button. Keep on going. For the previous year.
I'm not on Wiki, but okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here.
6-7 last year, boy.
During COVID,
let's
see. During COVID, we understand it was 6-6, 6-7 during COVID.
Top notch SEC. It's not like. According to Richard, that's top notch SEC.
Okay, but then
according to Richard, they're ahead of UK.
Okay, so prior to COVID, they were 8-5.
Top notch SEC,
Then they were 7-6.
Top notch SEC, Consistent top notch, ain't it?
I didn't say top. I'm saying that
this is what we talking about. He's trying to go to, and you keep talking about Missouri. That's not the comp we want, and we're making a point. Keep going.
Okay, I'm keep going, but I'm looking at the fact that in the time that they've been in the SEC, in the time that they've been in the SEC,
that's timing. That's timing. That's not top notch.
But aren't you all in the same timing that they are in? So no, I'm curious how.
No, you know what? Our timing is kind of like Tyson Gay, the less than great Tyson Gay. becoming the fastest world in America, which usually will equate to the fastest man in the world. But guess what? His timing was off because Usain Bolt was just ridiculous. Is that any fault to him? No. So Kentucky,
when
Kentucky finally comes up, and they're playing great, who else comes up? Georgia. And Georgia does something that only one other program in the last, I don't know how many decades have done, which is Alabama. Is that any fault to Kentucky? No.
If they're in the same division, as Kentucky, and they're playing the same teams as Kentucky, how is it that in the 12 years that they've been 12,
our
13 years
timing
of
being good, our timing when we
wait a minute. They still playing the same schedule in that same time frame that UK is. You trying to say that we wasn't good at the time Missouri was good. It's all about the timing. But in the 12 years, I didn't go back prior to 12 years. I'm just talking about the same time.
I can answer you. Missouri started.
Let me finish. I'm just talking about the same time period that Stoops was coach at UK compared to the same time period what Missouri was doing. And in that time frame, they've gone to the SEC conference championship game twice.
We know. Y'all mention it every other week. We know.
Okay, but I'm just saying. You talk about. I'm not even going back into your history. I'm not even going back to none of those teams. I'm just talking about since Stoops has been the coach. Okay, both of those programs. You're saying, are they on the same track? Because if they are, how come y'all haven't made it as far as they have? How come y'all haven't made it to
Missouri?
Okay,
hold on. Kentucky is both thought to be on the same level as a program. You're talking about individual teams.
How come we're not talking about Kentucky in college football playoff talks?
You sound like somebody on Fox News talking about people don't pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You have to consider the starting point of those programs, quote unquote, 12 years ago. When Stoops took over Kentucky 12 years ago, it was in one of its lowest positions, kind of like Louisville basketball. It was in one of its lowest conditions, consistently only winning 2 to 3, maybe 4 games year after year.
That's not true. That's not true.
What do you mean that's not true?
Brooks did something about that. That's not true. You just made it up.
Brooks did stabilize.
It was the brother of Perry's barber that did it.
Okay. But my question to you is, didn't Missouri, Lathan just said Missouri got a new coach, right?
But but you got to look at the condition of Missouri.
And in the short period of time, Missouri's got this new coach. Wait a minute. They've done this number.
The first year that Missouri was in the SEC, they went to the championship.
And the next year, they went 2 years.
The first and second year that they entered, they played for the championship of the league. That tells you they were in a better position 12 years ago entering the league.
They were.
Okay, so
Kentucky was not in as good a position.
They just got a new coach last year. So what about this year?
No, they didn't.
They just got a new coach.
They've had that coach. This is their second year.
3 years. 2 or 3 years.
3 years. Stoops has been there how many years? I guess it still taking Stoops 12, 13, 14, 15 years to build a program. But this guy did it in 3. Okay.
So is the program
he hasn't built a program.
His program is built. His foundation building seems to be doing a lot better than Stoops.
These programs
because y'all have not been nowhere near. Y'all have not been nowhere near where Missouri is in 3 years, and what they've done in 3 years than what UK has done.
Richard, look at our record from 2 years ago.
And we had 10 wins 2 years ago.
Yeah. Look at you. You failed to realize 2 times in the past 3 or 4 years we played for the SEC championship game. We lost to Georgia twice. Georgia won the national championship.
Y'all played for the SEC championship game, but
yes, against Georgia.
We were number 2 in the East.
It was on the line. This is what I'm talking about. This is really Tyson Gay versus Usain Bolt right here.
Okay, so what happened?
It really is.
What happened? Why come y'all didn't continue that? What did y'all do? Y'all followed that up with a 5.
That's the reason why I'm asking you. Is Missouri built?
Can I tell you?
I guarantee you my salary that they're not going to continue.
Critical injuries at the quarterback position 3 years ago. We had to play an entire season without a quarterback. Let's start there.
I got to take
We
points
had to
out.
play an entire season without a quarterback. Then we kept getting. We've had 3 years of 3 different transfer quarterbacks trying to take over the program. We've had issue at the quarterback position for the last 3 to 4 years, and that has been part of what has had a little dip in our schedule. Now, our
Whose fault
defense.
is that your coach that y'all still hold
Sometimes,
on to?
hey, things
Paying
happen.
$9 million a year.
A quarterback gets hurt.
So
Hey, a quarterback gets hurt,
but you
and
said
then
3
we
years
have a
in
great
row.
year.
3 years
You have
in
a
a row.
great year where you have Levis and C-Rod, and then you have another great year, and then boom, oh, we got Leary, thought he was going to be something, and it didn't pan out this year. It
How
wasn't
long
the
was that?
program, it wasn't
The last
Stoops.
10-win season, was that 3 years ago? 2018? Was that when it was? 3 years?
No, it was 21. It was
Y'all had a
21.
10-win season in 21.
Yeah, we played in the Citrus Bowl.
In 21.
Yeah. 21 or
Then
20,
you got
20 to
2
21.
So now you got 2 7-5 seasons again, and so the hope would be that you go 10-3 next year. That's
So you're gonna go.
It's been
okay.
it's been failures at the quarterback position that have put us.
You don't have
this
to
year.
list all of that. I can list the same thing when we lose to UK in football or basketball. We don't have to list all of that. Just y'all didn't make it this year. That's it. And here's the thing. Here's the key. All right.
Points are out.
We get ready to segue. We get ready to segue. We're gonna segue. All right. The key is y'all paying a coach a lot of money for a lot of years, and he hasn't got y'all to the promised land. So he's sort of underperforming. Just like in basketball, y'all paying the coach.
No, man. Don't
Y'all
even do
paying
that.
the coach.
Okay.
Bucks,
Underperforming according to who?
He has not performed
That's the thing.
the last 5 years.
Wait a minute.
5 years, he has not won a national title.
How about this? Compare Stoops.
No. Perry is
Okay.
going to put us on basketball. We're not talking about basketball. Stay on football.
We said,
How about compare Stoops? Hold on. I got this question.
Hold on.
I got this question. Let me jump in. Compare Stoops to the last 5 UK coaches. Is he head and shoulders better than Brooks, Guy Morris, Joker Phillips? Is he head and shoulders? How Mummy? You got to not know how Mummy.
I don't know.
Because he messed us up.
I would say he's on the same level with Brooks.
Yeah, he better than Bill Curry.
I say he's on the same level with Brooks because you talking about your 10-win season. I'm looking at it here. You all had 2 seasons between those 2 10-win seasons. Okay.
Yeah.
Two seasons of mediocrity. 5-7, 7-6. Between those 2 10-win seasons. Okay, so those were way back before you claimed to have quarterback issues. So you're still telling me that in order for you all, yes, it was.
No, the first 10-win season was the first year of Will Levis. The next one, we didn't have quarterback issues. The next season, we had an offense coordinator issue and just crap. He was fired.
Okay, but that's because of your coaching. And you're coaching what he's selecting and what he's doing. So I'm saying now, my question, y'all keep telling me he's building a program. He's been there for 12, 13 years. He's been there for 12, 13 years. Does it continue to build
I just think he's plateaued. I would say he's plateaued.
I don't see any success. Y'all had 2 10-win seasons that were sprinkled between 5
I don't know
mediocre seasons.
Okay,
no different than Brooks. No different than Brooks in this season.
Because we're way off track. I'll let Dietrich, you go ahead and answer that. Go ahead, answer that, and I got something to say about that too. Go ahead.
Because Kentucky has had a history of being a consistent, competitive squad. It's had a history of not competing consistently in the SEC. When we talk about building a program, before you go into the SEC championship game, before you get even in the conversation for a New Year's Six Bowl, national championship, all those things, you have to be consistent in your competitiveness year in and year out. We have just now hit that. When you get consistent as a competitor, you will have 10-win, 9-win spikes. But everything has to get consistent first. And now it took him 10 to 12 years to make Kentucky thought of as a consistently competitive and development program that a kid coming to Kentucky can go to the pro, kid coming to Kentucky can play in some high-profile games. A kid coming to Kentucky can play for first place in the SEC East, which many of our kids have. We're just now hitting that platform. Now, y'all say he's underperforming, and I say underperforming according to who? He has got this program where we are getting looks, even if we don't land some of these high-profile guys. We have high-profile visits. We're on the list of people wanting to play for us. Y'all asked about how many guys y'all got in the profile. And when we say, oh, we really don't have that many, because kids want to play in Kentucky now. There are some kids who want Kentucky on their jersey, and that's what he's brought to this program. And I don't measure him by did he get a flash in the playing season, and play for an SEC championship when Georgia was rebuilding and Florida was rebuilding, and we just didn't take advantage. I'm not giving him bad marks for that.
Yeah, I was going to say something along to the lines of what you touched on, Dietrich. When you think about the Stoops underperforming, I think you have to look at where Kentucky program was when he first came in, where we're at now.
Yep.
I think the point that we're saying, we want to win some more, we want to be consistently up there, is actually a compliment to Stoops that, hey, you got us up here, but you haven't kept us up here. We paid you to get us up here, but now what is
you all change your tune
from 2-10 to 10-2?
I've listened to y'all change your tune because 4 or 5 weeks ago, when y'all was getting blowed out by Alabama and then following up, getting stomped by South Carolina, y'all was preaching the same thing. Oh my goodness, Stoops didn't reach this plateau. We need to get rid of him. It's time to see if we can move on. Because y'all was saying the same thing. Now all of a sudden you're telling me that you're fine.
No,
with his methods and how he's doing stuff.
No,
but when you say look back over what Kentucky has done, let me finish. Look back over what Kentucky's done. Y'all are still getting blowed out by the top teams in the SEC. It's one thing to lose, but when you get blowed out by 3 and 4 scores, and then you lose to supposed bottom feeders in the SEC, then what are you accomplishing? And still following up with a 7-6 season. See what I'm saying? So is he building a program? Is he leading y'all to the great promised land, or what? Because y'all weren't singing that tune.
I'm sorry, we're 7-5, so I don't know. We're not 7.
But if y'all lose your bowl game, you'd be 7-6.
I need you to hold on for a second. You said that we was complaining about Stoops on plateau. How do you plateau? You got to rise in order to plateau, right?
Okay. No.
You
have to rise.
You got to rise.
Or you don't have to go down. So I'm saying if you stay level, that's still plateauing, even if you don't go down from where you were. But he did rise. I'm saying he did get up above y'all's Joker Phillips years.
Okay,
so this is
all I'm saying. He plateaued, so it means he rose somewhere. He did his job to get there. Now we've tasted victory. We want it consistently.
And we want to see, can he jump? Okay, he hit this mark. Florida. Can he jump?
Y'all have tasted victory over Florida and Louisville. That's the 2 teams that y'all have tasted.
And here's the other thing that you got to understand. This is the other thing that you got to understand.
And
though.
Really,
you keep saying get blown out.
South Carolina and Missouri. And
they haven't tasted victory because they've lost back-to-back to South Carolina.
But
they've lost back-to-back to South
Carolina.
We lost back-to-back to South Carolina.
Minnesota State and Lexington School of the Blind. Yes, you tasted victory.
Okay.
Yes.
So back to the original question. Back to the original question. Kentucky needs to win this game against Clemson, right? It does mean a win means more probably to Kentucky than it means to Clemson. If Clemson doesn't win this game against Kentucky, Dabo's still going to recruit and develop at his same level. If Kentucky does not win against Clemson, well, then the talk comes in more of, okay, what's Kentucky up to? What direction are they going?
There is a correction to that. Dabo has not been recruiting at his level. His level has sort of went down. He's losing guys to the portal. There's been cries for his head because of the losing streak that they started the season on.
I live in Virginia. I live in Virginia, which is heavily recruited by Clemson. There are plenty of kids that can't wait to go to Clemson if they get the call.
So
from our area, from the 757. So he still has cachet here. in his recruiting background. So I live in his recruiting backyard. He has cachet. People want to go to Clemson.
He does. Here's the thing. Perry's right. It's went down, but it's went down to number 12 in the nation. That's what he was.
From number 5 to number 4.
So I think, but
number 5 and number 4.
It's all relative.
As you said, you can't consistently win the SEC unless you have a top 5 recruiting class.
I said
you can't get in the room unless you have top 10 or top 15. So going with the ACC, look, it's getting to the point where you can see where he's at now. He's like number 8, number 6 in the ACC. He's dropped. You know, he's.
I'm just saying, a Kentucky loss, a loss to Kentucky won't affect any of that.
6 or 7.
It won't be a factor.
Are you talking about recruiting or are you talking about the standings?
I'm talking about standings. Standings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're number. Florida State, I think, is number 1 right now.
But a
ACC.
win or a loss
is number 1, 2.
Miami's number 1, Florida State number 2, and then Clemson number 3.
Neither a win or a loss
at the top of the ACC.
Neither a win or a loss to Kentucky will affect what Dabo's doing. None of that. It will not affect them. Win, beat them, or lose. There's not one kid that doesn't take the visit next year because they lost to Kentucky. It's not happening.
So you're talking about the kids that are 3-star kids that or marginal 4-star.
Marginal point right there.
You're talking about the kids you're talking about the marginal kids. The high-ranking kids are the ones that are looking at this and saying, "Okay, do I go to
the high-ranking kids are not going to Kentucky or Clemson right now. If you're a high level 5-star, you're not coming to either one of our programs.
They were the high ranking kids were going to Clemson. I checked their roster while we were talking
5 years ago.
Currently, they have 51 4-star or higher players on their current roster. And of those 51 4-star or higher players, I think 8 of them are 5-star players. They average 2 or 3 5-star players a recruiting cycle.
I'll just say on 24/7 Sports they have 2 5-stars in this class.
Yeah. So what you're looking at the same situation that happened between Georgia and FSU, where Georgia was able to get FSU's highest recruit, a 5-star guy, to flip to Georgia. He was a Georgia kid, but he was FSU for a while and then he flipped. You're seeing other kids being pulled left and right because it's not people got to understand the way the recruiting is working right now. It's no longer, we're going to step right in and we're going to stay with this program. No, there's stuff that's coming down to the end like it always has in a way. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have kids that are like, I want to go here where I can shine the brightest because this is where I want to go. And if this team right here is not doing so well in the national spotlight or the limelight, or if they can't play, some of that stuff is starting to become a little bit more important. We've been saying downplaying a lot of it, but some of it is becoming a little bit more important, plus the money factor as well. And we all know that Dabo has not been friendly towards NIL. He has always been.
Oh, no, he's against it.
What's that?
He's against NIL.
He's been firmly against it. I don't want to get into the schematic. Philemon will he'll put in the chat real quick because he's blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, maybe so. That's it. But that's what you're dealing with now in this new in all of this NLI races and all this recruiting. So we can't base it off of saying that, if Kentucky wins this game, it's not going to hurt Clemson. It's going to hurt Clemson. It's going to hurt Clemson just like it's hurt some other teams. So it's they have something to lose in this game.
Well, like we established before, winning is always better. But I don't think there's one kid that goes, "Oh, they lost to Kentucky, I'm not going to Clemson." There's not one kid saying that.
Part of that has to do with
that happened. That's happened to us.
So
it'll happen to Louisville, but it ain't happening to Clemson.
That's true. But part of that has to do with what the way Kentucky's being looked at now. They're not looked at as that bottom feeder program anymore, even though some on this call on this podcast will have you believe that. Times are changing. We just got a coach that said, "Hey, I'm from Jersey, saw Kentucky on the TV growing up." I'm like, "What?"
So,
but that don't mean you're not looked at as a bottom feeder. That means you're looked at as a popular bottom feeder.
If the value of Kentucky has gotten that much better, then explain to me how it took a hit when Louisville lost to Kentucky. If the value of Kentucky is that much better,
man. Why did we
Because
explain to me
They
how
didn't
even with you
they
people
saw
on this
Kentucky.
podcast, how it took a hit to you all, how it supposedly
Give
took a
us
hit
a
to their
hold
credibility.
up. Can I say something? Richard
You know what I'm saying?
B. Richard sits
can't
back.
have
No,
your
no,
cake
no.
and
Wait a
eat
minute.
it
Wait a
too.
minute.
Yeah, you can.
Wait a minute. Richard sits back. He thinks he's got a profound question, and he just gonna sit.
He in the actor
I
studio.
wish I had my cat. I wish I had a cat with me so I could just be.
But
Because Kentucky had underperformed.
Yeah, exactly, Richard.
like they normally do. So they're
But wait a minute. If the value of Kentucky is
what does
so
underperforming
good,
mean though? Underperforming means the prevailing thought was we should have done X and we did not do X.
Because
so if they underperform,
because
then
our
their value
perception is
not
higher.
as good. But then wait a minute, hold up.
How do you have good value and underperform?
Hold up. You can't have good value and underperform in the same sentence. So I'm saying it don't make sense.
That's how.
It don't make sense.
That's what underperforming means.
Richard,
it don't make sense because it's not good value.
Go back to SEC Media Day.
Louisville is underperforming. Okay.
Go back to SEC Media.
If they had beat Kentucky on the court, did that take away from the credibility of Kentucky? Because you can't be
okay. If you go back to preseason projections, SEC Media Day. If you go back to preseason projections, SEC Media, people who cover the SEC, most everybody with the brain said Kentucky's going to win 8 or 9 games.
Okay.
Everybody with a brain said Kentucky's winning 8 or 9 games. Nobody said
plus 1
nobody was
equals 2.
Let me just
underperforming does not equal value.
Let me just say this.
Okay, you don't understand the meaning of the words.
Hold on, let me say
you don't understand underperforming what? An expectation that's higher.
Yeah. Let me say this, and I'll let you finish, Dietrich. One thing you have to understand, Richard, you're mixing up program with team. Okay.
Yeah.
So program and team. The Kentucky program has stopped to be higher than they once was. That's the reason why this team had higher expectations. They did not reach. So they underperformed. Now, the reason why you guys dipped when you guys lost to Kentucky is because of this team, not because of the program. The team underperformed, not the program. It's two different things.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so what did we underperform? We underperformed in expectation based on a value, based on a reputation, based on preseason evaluation of this team, based on how Leary looked in practice, based on a lot of the things that the coaching staff and media who were able to come into the media days and say, oh, this team looks great. This team looks like they're ready to really be more competitive in the SEC. All of these things that were happening preseason, that was a value set that we underperformed.
Richard,
and then you look.
Hold on, consider this. The value of gold may drop. The value of trash will never drop.
Give yourself a point, Will. Give yourself a point.
I rest my case. Let's close it down.
Give yourself a point.
He just said UK is trash.
Give yourself a point.
UK fans said UK is trash. I literally heard that.
But you had
too. I was about to say something profound, but he just took the words right out of my mouth. UK is trash.
No, man.
The value.
If you have Louisville overperforming, Louisville overperformed, Kentucky underperformed, and we still beat y'all. That's how there was a value there.
Yeah.
That's why it hurt you. Because y'all were in a better position at the end of the season based on
Carolina
performance.
Fans saying the same thing. They're saying the same thing. They beat UK and they were underperforming.
When we go back to who needs
anytime y'all overperforming to me.
And we were talking about how this would impact Dabo Swinney if he loses to Kentucky. That's what we mean. See, if the value of Kentucky was in a lower position than it was against U of L,
but Clemson also is underperforming.
Another ACC team. No, at the end of the year they picked back up, so they were performing.
They rank right now.
If they're here at this point now, where if we take a loss to Kentucky, it's going to dip us in stature. It's not going to be a wash, okay? Because Kentucky is supposed to be a good team. It's not going to be that.
Well, you got to understand.
This will impact Clemson more by losing to Kentucky. So that's the part we were talking about, the value and the performance.
So, but you got to understand too. You got to understand though. And a lot of this perception is reality, And so when you say Clemson, they were down, but they went back up, the perception is for some that they went back up, but the perception for many is they haven't gone back up, so they still haven't regained.
Yeah,
okay,
they beat South Carolina, Georgia Tech, and Notre Dame, which everybody has turned out to be a flop this year.
Okay, and I guess I'm going to build off of your little statement, Dietrich, how you had value in performance. Clemson started off the season ranked. Kentucky wasn't ranked. Kentucky was not ranked. I don't think they've ever started the season ranked. See what I'm saying?
Okay,
Clemson, the perception of the people in college football believe Clemson to be a blue chip program.
Clemson underperformed.
A blue chip
I said
program.
Clemson underperformed.
Okay, so when you say
I said Clemson underperformed,
that would apply to Clemson. When people see UK underperform, nobody is shocked. Nobody's really calling it underperform. They're calling it at status quo. See what I'm saying? 7-5,
business
5-7. These are business as usual. Now, when y'all do 10-win seasons, then people get
okay. So what's the narrative when we beat? So what's the narrative when we beat Clemson? Status quo.
If you beat Clemson, the narrative with you beat Clemson would be Clemson was disinterested. I swear you'll hear
the narrative would be the ACC is weak. Everything in its schools go.
Is exactly what they'll say. They'll say ACC is weak because we lost to UK. See what I'm saying?
Who's gonna say that?
Different season. If UK was supposed to be this value that you all keep adding,
no, we're middle of the road. We told you we're 8th place.
But we're in the middle of the road. The program had value, not the team, but the program had value. If it got more value, then losing to Kentucky would not besmirch the name of the ACC. See what I'm saying? Like it did.
No, it will go against the ACC and won't touch Clemson much at all.
No, it'll go against Clemson too, because like I said, a team like Clemson should not lose to middle of the road, business as usual, blase 7-5, 7-6 season Kentucky. That's not Clemson. See what I'm saying? This is the team that was ranked in the top. Were they ranked in the top 10?
So what's the question right now? What is the question right now that we're trying?
The question was that who would have a bigger impact?
What's the meaning of the game? Yeah.
What's the meaning of the game? Who would get which victor or who would have more meaning or get more out of this game, or who should get more out of this game, or who would benefit from this game, win or lose? And right now, Kentucky would benefit because it would, like I said, it would boost their stature. They would go from, hey, we're going to be another 7-6 season. We're paying this man $9 million a year for more mediocrity. Clemson, if they lose this game, it'll add on and pile on to ACC is weak.
Yeah, he took.
He's making a point I started with,
and we need to start.
He's saying what I started with. We've come all the way around to the point that I said Kentucky gets more out of winning, and Clemson. It doesn't really bother Clemson to win or lose.
It does.
Now, ACC
that's the
talk,
part
yes.
where you're wrong. That's the part where you're wrong. It does bother Clemson if they lose this game. It's not it doesn't bother them. I know it hurts them. The talk about firing Dabo will start spinning up.
They're not going to fire Dabo.
I don't know. See what I'm saying? They got rid of Jimbo. Everybody didn't expect that. That came out the blue. Yeah,
look at
Dabo ain't going nowhere.
They fired Jimbo.
Look at Auburn and LSU fired 2 national title coaches. It happened.
You know what I'm saying? So
let him go 6-6 next year. Finish the season 6-6. Let him go 7-6 the next year. Yeah,
but this is an 8-win team. It's not 6.
They're where UK fans want to be.
Look what they were saying about Saban.
Season or even a 9-4 season if they beat UK. That's unacceptable.
Look what they were saying about Saban when he was struggling to beat South Florida, whatever that team was. They were talking about, Saban, he probably needs to start thinking about retiring while he's on top. And they were talking about making a change then when Saban was having a little slip this year. So if they're doing that with Alabama, see what I'm saying? Definitely talking about that with Dabo. So I'm not going to say he's going to lose. He's going to be fired after UK, but that talk will start spinning up. And I'm using my hands. Nobody's. But that talk will start spinning up if he loses to UK. Whether or not they'll act on it is another thing. But like I said, it's just as much for them to win this game as it is for UK. Like I said, I think really, to be honest with you, the team that won't have any impact is if UK loses this game. Because like I said, it's business as usual. Everybody in the college football world will look at this like, okay, Kentucky had another standard year, 7-6, and move on with it. Whether or not you fans will appreciate that or not, that's the truth of it, in my opinion.
Guys, this show has gone off the rails. I got to apologize to Perry and there because my little one said, "Hey, that man is in our house."
Mama, there go that man.
They try to figure out what's going on, why that man is in our house. So this show is it's weird. The scoreboard is all off and everything. We are an hour and 15 minutes in. We have previewed the Louisville game. We've tried to preview the Clemson versus Kentucky game in football, and we just went off the rails, guys. This is Cats versus Cards. It always reverts back to some kind of way, Cats versus Cards, and you just have to expect it at this point.
It's what the show is, Cats versus Cards, baby.
That's what the show is.
Talk is.
Bottom line is,
talk.
Yep. Bottom line is, I think that we all agree that the game Clemson versus Kentucky in the Gator Bowl, it means more to Kentucky than Clemson, but Clemson can benefit from it as well. Let's put it at that. Let's go ahead and go over to the basketball. Now, Richard.
An actual Cats versus Cards game. Yes.
Actual Cats versus Cards game. And I want to say this. Richard here has started a phenomenon in the Cardinal fan base with the bags over your head. It happened here first. It happened here first. And then now my little one has called Lynn in, and she is on the phone. So D-Trick and Richard, one of you guys want to take over for me? I'm sorry, guys. This is just rails.
Okay. All right.
Hey, jump into that game, Rich.
All right. Well, first off, I would like to say that my brother and I actually went to the Den of Iniquity. Yes, we actually went into the Devil's Lair to watch this game. You know, both of us was decked out in our U of L garb, and we actually sat down and ate our humble pie in this game. Initially, I would like to say that Cards looked like they were fighting this game. They had a little bit more battle in them. Playing up against UK. At the same time, it looked like UK was taking it easy on them. There were some plays that looked like I could see that they were taking off, you know, as far as backing off, not really using aggressive tendencies to get the score. I don't know if that was partly because Calipari didn't want to embarrass Kenny, or they just felt like, oh, this is a terrible Louisville team. We're going to show sympathy by beating up on the weak and crippled. But, you know, like I said, at the end, the score wasn't as bad. I thought it was going to be a 30-point beatdown. I think we lost by 19, wasn't it? 19 points.
He got up to 26 points, though.
It got to 26. It got close to 26, but the final score was 19. And PJ actually called the score.
Got out the field. He called it.
He called it. So
he's been praying. He needs to pray some more, but he obviously has been praying and fasting. Because he's done called out 2 scores now. So
so somebody done
God don't care what Nostradamus he uses.
I guess he's now the new Nostradamus and the new Elijah, Prophet Elijah or whatever.
I would say I've noticed that they fought a little bit harder. Still, the team has no identity. Brandon Hartley, whatever, BHH. We'll call him BHH.
Yes, please.
He was spectacular. He's been spectacular for the last 4 games. I think he had a bad game against Arkansas State
I think he's flat out the best player on the team, followed by your point guard.
Yeah. I won't say he's the best player. He's the best big man.
Clark.
He's the best big man, and he played like he really wanted to win. You could tell once the score started getting a little bit away, some of the other players sort of gave up. They sort of, it's always astounding to see Clark. He just never can hold it together for a whole game. He's always got to go off the rails, and start trying to play make at some point. And so the game sort of got away a little bit, and then he sort of brought himself back in, and the team brought themselves back in, and they did better towards the end, and then they sat everybody down, and the bench players came in.
Well, from what I saw, do you think that the one thing I noticed about Louisville is they're not a great shooting team, and when they fail to hit after 2 or 3 possessions, they get in their minds, and it's almost impossible for them to have confidence in, hey, I'm missing, and they fail to get back on D. See, one of the things that I remember Rick Pitino's teams was he was teaching them right there. Hey, you're going to have some droughts. Yeah, you better defend. You better get back on D, and that sparks the offense, because if you get some slaps, some turnovers,
he had some
deflections,
shooting teams.
You would get back into the shooting and get the points back up. And that's the thing that this team doesn't do. Once they get in their head, we done come down here, we done missed the shot, and they done got the defensive rebound and ran down there and scored. And here we come, we missed another shot. Once the 2 or 3 shots get away from them, then they start falling apart at that point, and it takes a minute for them to get their feet.
I tell you, Kentucky's had some teams like that. Calipari has had some teams like that.
But you all have a lot more talent to depend on at that point.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't know how much of that you can, because when you have a whole team of that kind of attitude of, I'm not scoring, so therefore I'm not going to give it my all on the other end. I'm not for sure how much the coach can do about that. How much of that is on the coach? How much of that is on the player? Because at that point, if it's like 1 or 2 players, if you're not scoring and then you're not going to give it all your all on defense, all right, I'm gonna sit you on the bench. But then if you have a whole team of doing it, it's just like, dude, I just give up. Because I remember a couple of the seasons where Kentucky had that going on actively. Calipari was the most frustrated I've ever seen him. Like, he was snapping at media and everything too, So what can KP do about that? And one of the guys that I was talking to, and that happened to know people on the Louisville Board of Trustees, he was basically talking about that as well. And he just like, some of that character you don't really find out till you start coaching the player. Like, can you really blame that on the coach, or do you tell the coach that, hey, I need you to rebuild a different profile of player that you go and get? You know what I'm saying?
Well, the other thing is, I don't see them doing, one of the things that Pitino teams and especially Crum teams did a lot of trapping. They had more defense. They were more defensive-minded teams. I don't know if they're running these sets, this in practice, learning how to be more defensive-minded, going for deflections, getting on the ball, going after it.
Not disruptive at all.
Not disruptive at all. And the other thing I don't see is the effort in rebounding anymore. This Louisville team is one shot and done. And when they take the shot, there's no other player thinking about the rebound or thinking about the deflection and where the ball's going to be, and let me anticipate where the ball's going to be so I can get the rebound. I don't see that. Usually when they take a shot, the closest,
they're hitting you, they're tossing you. The refs couldn't call every hand check foul. We got a lot of wide open shots, and we missed a lot of wide open shots against UK. And they even said it. The commentators talked about it later on in the game, how this wasn't the best defensive effort by Kentucky, and that was a concern. But Louisville didn't make the shots, and this is happening in every game. This is one thing I can commend Kenny Payn on, is I see a lot of the motions that they're running on offense, getting them open shots. Is just guys can't connect. I mean, Tyler Johnson, he can make his own shot. It's just he's throwing it out. He's throwing it behind. I mean, he just looked like junk. He has he's a horrible shooter, and then you see some of the other guys, it's like some of them, they look like they're dead on. And then the other guys, they just flat out miss. That's all it is. And it gets discouraging, and you see them on defense not picking it up. And the other thing that concerns me about their defense is it's almost like everything is measured. And so when you're guarding somebody like a Dillingham, or you're guarding somebody like, what's the other guy? You got to do whatever it takes to disrupt them. If you're guarding them one-on-one, you don't just give them the token defense and just get close to them. You got to literally do some things to distract them and get in there and get into them. And I didn't see that. I didn't see that with them. They weren't, and I haven't. And this is a thing that I watched Louisville when I'm watching them play other teams. They don't have that defensive mindset to really just want to be disruptive, and that's you just don't see it. And so that's how you got all these losses piling up, is because our defense is just not where it needs to be. They're in the place to make the plays. They just don't have that mentality. Like, man, if I'm guarding you, dude, I would watch Patino's players. They're hitting you, they're tossing you. The refs couldn't call every hand check foul, but they're hand checking you. They're doing whatever it takes to get you off of rhythm. I watched said the
that's
lower
fine.
bowl looks
So
worse, and that's what
I give an example. I give an example of players, but it's a rivalry game. And he said, there needs to be, like you said, some effort almost in the level of drawing blood, in a rivalry game. Because go ahead and get a technical. Go ahead and get a flagrant foul. Go ahead and just make sure you're fighting in a rivalry game. And I think some of that is coming from the climate, seeing that much blue in your home stadium. I mean, it was almost a home game for Kentucky with the amount of blue that was in the Yum Center. I mean, you heard the Go Big Blue. You heard the Go Big Blue chant. You heard you heard an overwhelming fan base swarm the Yum Center in a rivalry game.
To me, it didn't look like it was.
But I mean, it shouldn't even be close in a rivalry game.
It shouldn't be 50-50, but it looked 50-50. Look, go through the camera feeds. They said the lower
that's fine.
bowl looks
So
worse, and that's what
I give an example. Me and Richard, we went to see the Raiders and Kansas City play in Vegas.
It was not that bad.
Vegas. It may not be that bad.
It was not that bad. Don't even no.
It was like a Kansas City home game, and I remember Richard telling me, because it was my first NFL game. Richard was saying, "Man, you really missing the full effect because the home fans are not here because this game they're not supporting this game because they're not going to the playoff." And he was like, "Oh, it's just that." And from watching it from TV, not being able to see the whole crowd, it felt like a UK home game with a red floor.
Well, I'm going to disagree. It looked 50-50 to me, but I do know that I had a friend of mine who has season tickets, good floor seat, good center court tickets, and he drove up, was eager to go to the game. He drove up and he saw just a wave of black to blue, and he turned around, got out the car, and sold his tickets to the first people that wanted to buy them. I don't know if he sold them to UK or he said he sold them to U of L, but the simple fact that this is an avid U of L fan. This is a guy that drove to Atlanta and got a piece of the floor from the championship game, who's been to the Sugar Bowl, who's got his Sugar Bowl ticket. This is an avid fan, season holder, and he sold his U of L ticket. Huh? Championship. That's right. That's right, brother.
What
2013.
What year was that?
I got video if you want to see it.
There was no champion in 2013.
I got video if you want to see it. I got video, and I'm pretty sure I can go out here on ESPN and they'll have championship. I don't care what the NCAA says. Everybody else says championship. But
it was a play.
I digress. It's a different story, different day. Nevertheless, my friend has got a piece of that Atlanta floor that says Louisville championship on the banner. So
nice joke.
Don't matter what you say. But nevertheless, he pulled up to the Yum Center, saw that the blue was there in effect. Now, looking at it on TV, like Perry said, it looked like it was 50-50. When we went to when we went to the Raiders game, it wasn't Raiders. It was Kansas City. And that is all red with black infield. That's all it was. It was all Kansas City fans. And I'm a Steelers fan. Go Steelers, black and yellow. Bengals suck. But anyways, I'm a Steelers fan. I had my jersey on. Look here to take me off the big screen. I had my jersey
Take
on.
A point, Will. Take a point.
I felt bad for the Raiders to the point where I had to pull for them. And I was telling the fans behind us, whatnot. I was saying, look, I'm feeling bad for y'all. I'm going to root for y'all because it's too many Kansas City fans. It wasn't like that at the Yum Center. It looked 50-50 on the camera to me. But it was too many. It shouldn't have been 50-50.
It looked worse because of the lower bowl. They said the lower bowl was full of UK fans.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Watching it at home, all I could see was blue. I mean,
but when you
really
see the big fade out shots and stuff, it was 50-50.
And of course, you're going to hear Go Big Blue. You're going to hear that chant because we had nothing to cheer about. So,
what you not going to get no CAR.
Richard, you got a point on that one. Y'all had nothing to cheer about.
You down by 26.
What we going to say? Go Big Blue. See? Hey, no, you're not going to hear all that.
Yeah, why not?
You're not gonna hear all that.
Hey man, look at all this blue, man. Look at my screen. You see all this blue? Look at all this in the Yum Center. That's the Yum Center fans.
That's behind the UK bench.
So
That's
look,
behind
man.
the UK bench.
So is it your understanding?
Yeah, player. Yeah, so
Harry,
yeah,
so is
yeah,
it your
come on
understanding that the lower bowl was full of blue and the upper bowl was full of red? Is that what it is?
The first two, yeah. I mean the lower bowl.
The lower bowl
when
was
I saw
50-50. The lower
somebody
bowl was
posted
50-50.
pictures. They posted pictures on Twitter, and I was
Look.
like, "What's the point they're
Blue.
trying to make?"
Blue.
That's the
Blue,
lower
blue,
bowl.
blue, 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 blue,
That's
blue.
the lower bowl.
talk
This is
some facts.
26,000,
Let's talk
20.
some
And
facts.
that's on the homes. That's on the visitor side. That's not the home
Yeah.
side. That's the visitor side.
Let's talk some facts.
Okay.
Well, they shot 42% this game from the field,
Which isn't great, but it ain't horrible.
Yeah, it's
Who
not
shot?
bad.
Louisville
It's
or
not
Kentucky?
bad. That was Louisville.
Louisville.
42%
Louisville.
from the field.
Louisville was bad from the 3-point line. Louisville was bad from the 3-point line.
He shot 23.5% from the 3-point line, 71% from free throws. But the rebounding was just about even. 30.
It was about even.
It was about even. So you guys did a good job on the boards. 14 assists to Kentucky's 9 assists. 6 steals, Kentucky's 9 steals. 2 blocks.
Turnovers were evil. Turnovers were even.
Yeah. Fast break points, though. You guys only had 2. Kentucky had 11 right there.
That's from the lack
But
of
you know what?
defense.
Here's the difference.
You're treating Louisville like a scrimmage. Yep.
Oh, well, I think Justin Edwards had more minutes. And then Bradshaw had his minutes, but Thiero only played 13 minutes, so Thiero was out where he's typically he only played 30. That's why I was shocked about it. Where he's normally a 25, 30 plus minute player, or has been at the beginning of the season. But yeah, we're still working players back. And but for the first 3.5, 4, 5, 10 minutes, between 5 to 10 minutes was the only time this game was in contention at all. And but for that, we did work in. I could tell they worked in players.
Yeah.
And they gave Shepard a lot of time. Well, they gave Shepard a lot of time because obviously this game means a lot for Shepard. It means a lot for Shepard, growing up with this game. So he was definitely in it, even though he made some mistakes. And Reeves, apparently he heard our podcast.
Double. He didn't make no mistakes.
He made some mistakes. He threw the ball away a couple of times, some weird passing stuff. But I think Reeves must have been listening to our podcast because he scored 30. He scored 30 points.
How did DJ do?
DJ
he only had 2 points. He played 18
Yeah, he
minutes.
only had 2 points.
He didn't want to hurt his dude.
He said, "Man, my granddad plays for Louisville. I mean, is over for Louisville. I can't do y'all like that."
I can't argue with that because, like I said, it's pretty sad. You all were literally treating this as hey, let's work in these new formations, see how they do. Instead of this is you wouldn't have done that with North Carolina. You wouldn't have done that with Kansas. These people would have came off the bench at a time where y'all were up 20, but it wouldn't have been, hey, we're gonna work this in and see how it works, starting the game off. And y'all did just that. Y'all.
Because Burks played, and he hadn't played for a while, so I'm glad he got in there. I thought he played more than 3 minutes, but that's what they say. Jordan Burks only played 3 minutes.
So y'all, I mean, like I said, I would say there's no victory out of this for Louisville just because we kept it within 20. And with anything, Kentucky, y'all showed that y'all can have an off night and still be talented enough to play in your rival's court, and still pull off a victory. To me, I thought it was impressive for Kentucky. Y'all didn't play like y'all should have played, like y'all would have played if it was North Carolina or Kansas. And y'all still put 20 on us. So it's just, we still got a long way to go.
Guys, my point in this one means nothing because I'm way off the rails. Too much is going on. But let me say this: as much,
I can attest to that being right here in your household.
No, I love Will's masterful use of points throughout this season. Throughout the podcast season, he has used these points to get y'all to dump on Louisville as much as possible. Every time you guys dump on Louisville, he is going bing, 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 bing.
Well, here's something. This will solve this argument, though.
Right,
but see, that's the thing. Louisville fans, we are realistic when it comes. We don't have lofty, blue tinted glass visions of the illusions of grandeur. We don't make stuff up. We're not Dallas Cowboy fans. We're not
realistic over here.
The season, y'all beat the first team in the season, talking about we're gonna win national championship. We don't. No, you can't take a point where that's the way y'all think. That's the way y'all think. Y'all come into this.
That I talked to. This was the funny part about my whole conversation with him, is because I was talking to him about them and the board of trustees, and I'm like, my biggest issue is how his coaching staff is structured. He's like, what's wrong with the coaching staff? It's a great coaching staff. I was like, no, it's not. I said he needs that guy that's been there, done that before, show him the ropes. He needs that person. Everybody's had that person. Penny Hardaway even had that person. He looked at me square in the eye and said, Danny Manning is that person. I said, dude, if that's what it is, then you guys failed right there when y'all hired him. Actually, you actually did fail but he's a good developer of big men. And if KP's the head coach, he probably can't concentrate on big men. So it's understandable to have Danny Manning there for that. But to be that man to help you along with being a head coach, that's the wrong person. And then I agree with PJ on this that
PJ hates Smith.
It's just he's not it. He's not it. But I was told this is the interesting thing about it. What I was told was that when KP recruited Scott Clark, he was never recruited to be the point guard, even though that was in the news. He was always recruited to be the off-ball guard. Because he said his word, what he was told was KP always thought that he couldn't play point guard in that system. Well, I told him, I said, well, when Kentucky was recruiting him, and I can't think of the assistant coach that we had was his lead recruiter. When he left Calipari, he said he can't play point guard in the system. So it's where I was like, wow, why did KP get him? But when KP said the same thing, I was like, well, that makes sense then if you're recruiting to be off the ball, because he is better that way in his system.
Well, at this particular state of U of L athletics, I think the discussion that we had on the group chat this week was the finances of Louisville and the fact that we're stuck with KP. So whether that's true to the extent where we don't have flexibility to get rid of him at this particular juncture and we're forced to keep him or not, the problem is if he shows any kind of success this season, even if I don't think we're going to get rid of him, even if it was a money issue. If he beats the teams that he's supposed to beat at the bottom of the ACC, we're talking right now. If I go back over here and look, what are we looking at? We're looking at teams like Syracuse, Boston College, Wake Forest, the bottom feeders of the conference. If we beat those teams, Notre Dame, surprisingly, is down there with us. Same amount of wins, both in conference and out of conference. If we somehow can put together victories to beat these teams and show some sort of
and if fans really want another coach, they got to help us raise money. The way that we need to raise money right now is to sell tickets and pack the arena to raise our finances. And if that's not happening, we have no choice but to stick with them. So that's where you at right now. So pack the stadium, pack the Yum Center, look for the positive that's happening. Cheer on your team. Maybe the extra energy that you guys show can help push them, to win a couple of games, at least, because you guys won 4 last year. You won 5 right now. Cheer on at least. Hey, we're better than we were last year.
Well, I'm looking at the conference right now. The only 2 losing teams in the conference right now is Louisville and Notre Dame, and we're both sitting at the same record, both out of conference and in conference. So it's going to be hard to get some quality wins looking at this, because the next weakest team in the conference is Florida State, then followed by up the chain Duke, Syracuse, Pittsburgh, even Boston College looks like they're 9-3 right now. I don't know what those wins and losses translate to, but like I said, when we first came into the ACC, we were beating the brakes off of all these teams except for Duke, North Carolina, and Virginia. And occasionally we'd have a battle with Pitt, or Notre Dame, one of the 2. But these teams, I can slide and say, you know what, let's go, let's give it up. But the rest of these teams, we have to stay competitive with them in order for us to continue to build off this momentum. Because if this is the last win that we see out of this team for the rest of the season, it's over. We might as well hang up basketball. Might as well hang it up.
I agree with you. So, guys, we just hit 10 p.m. We're going to have to jump off. We hit just about everything that we wanted to talk to. We didn't go far in depth with some things, but that's fine. Perry, I'm going to let you say your piece since you talked the least on this podcast today. So whatever you got to say, encourage your team. You can root on L1C4, whatever you want to say, for the bowl game. Encourage your team for basketball, whatever. I'm gonna give this to you to close us out.
Guys, we need to show up. I hate to say it, but we need to start making our way back to the Yum Center. We need to raise money. If you want them gone, you gotta put your money where your mouth is. I know we've got a GoFundMe out there for him to leave, but it's probably in our best interest for us to just go ahead and start showing up to the games. Shout out to New Ebony and Glenn, New Ebony Barbershop off Leestown Road. They hooked me up with the haircut, so shout out to them.
Suck up.
Shout out to them, and shout out to the great state of Louisville for continuing to fight. Continuing to fight.
The great state.
Hold on, man.
Continuing to fight and stay in the game. We'll be back, Cards fans. We will be back. We will be back.
At some
Keep
point,
your hopes up.
I agree with you. At some point, you will be back. Guys, that'll do it for this show, this edition of Cats versus Cards. I appreciate it. If you guys have stayed with us for this hour and 50 minutes in, I appreciate it. Let me tell you guys, next week, we're going to have a different setup. Bear with us. I know this week it was pretty much of a chaotic show. Next week, everything will be back to normal, different setup on the screen and whatnot. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. Hopefully, it works better for us and whatnot. After that,
Vegas.
The following week after that, we're going to have the special show coming to you straight from Vegas. So it's going to be way different setup. So it's going to be a fun show. I'm telling you, it's going to be a fun show. So I'll see you then. I appreciate you everything that you guys are listening to and watching. All right.